Alrighty, welcome. Put that down there. Welcome. We got a fantastic stream for you today. What we're doing is we're putting together the Open MVS. Now, the Open MVS is a fantastic, I think, like, really project, because it was a project where there were many very, very reputable modders involved to make this thing come together. And first, I have to thank Avram, I believe it's pronounced that way, for sending the kit. Appreciate that. And of course, Bob for helping me get that kit as well from Retro RGB. Nevertheless, I'm excited because what this allows is something that I think a lot of people have been waiting for, and that's kind of like a standardized way to consoleize a Neo Geo MVS. Now, you know, Neo Geo original hardware, again, if you went AES, you went that route, which you could. You know, the entertainment system, the advanced entertainment system, the home console, it's expensive. Versus MVS boards are definitely a lot cheaper, and that's the arcade boards. And so what the Open MVS does is aims to have a consoleized version of the MVS board to essentially go ahead and take that arcade board, make it into a console. And it does it in a very easy way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put together kind of like the more or less, I guess, the ultimate, I guess you'd call it, MVS board. So very exciting stuff for the Open MVS. So I figured we'd do it from start to finish, from a board that I've gotten offline. I've had it kicking around. It is unmodded, and going literally from there. I tested it. It works. So that's definitely something you want to do. So all we're going to do from there is just go ahead and, well, put this kit on it. Now this kit, I was very impressed when I took a look at it before the stream. It is of the utmost quality. I'm not, like, there's no other way to put this. The 3D print on the top doesn't even feel like a 3D print. It is fantastically, like, just sanded and painted, and it looks like, you know, like it came out of the factory. It's unbelievable. So there's a couple things we're going to be doing. So I'm going to kind of go over it here. So first, we are going to be putting in a Universe BIOS. Let's try that again. There we go. Universe BIOS using the Neo BIOS Master VMC, which I absolutely love and totally recommend. This gives you an opportunity to actually save stuff on an MVS 1C board, which is one that, again, there's no memory card slot when you just have the board like this. And then I have a Universe BIOS that I've had. So I have that there. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to be recapping it as well. I'm going to show you too, if you are going to be doing this and you're going to be recapping your board, there's actually a lot of caps you don't need, as this is going to be utilizing stereo out, which means that yes, there is some soldering involved. So it's actually kind of cool that you can take off a lot of caps, because less caps is a good thing. It's a good thing here. And then we have the board itself here, right? So it's just your standard MV1C board, straight from, you know, what was in an arcade at one point. Okay, so that plastic housing is going to go. So I'll put this, actually, I'll keep this close. But let's get into the kit. Now, the nice thing about the kit is you can customize it any way you want, and that includes having it all done up already for you. Which, again, if you're not comfortable with any type of soldering, or you can't find an MV1C board, or if he's just offering at the moment just DIY kits, as he is, then this is a good way to, you know, see what you're going to get in the box. So look at this, huh? I know, a little peek here. I apologize if the colors are off. This is red. Probably going to see it on the better camera here. Look at that. That's a beautiful, look at that. It's unbelievable how good quality this is, guys. I cannot stress that enough. Like, look at it. Ooh. I'm also holding something that I got from Retro Frog and Todd, good old Todd. Again, which is a nice little dust cover for it too. Look at that, huh? It's a great fit. Absolutely incredible. So this doesn't come with the kit, the dust cover, but you can order that separate or print it yourself. My printer actually was just like a hair too short, the bed, to print this. So, you know, it's always good to support, you know, the community. So I bought this from Retro Frog there. Then it comes with whatever you want it to come with. That's the beauty of it. So again, everything's you're in the kit itself. You're going to get this JAMA adapter that has the controller ports. You're going to get the RGB right here, so that's a Genesis jack that's on there. You're going to get the screws and anything else you want to order with it. So again, here we're going to be doing a battery change, so we got that, for example, and you're going to have the LED lights and backplate. It literally comes with everything you need. I haven't even opened it up yet. And then if you order the power supply, this impressed me, because you're not going to get just some cheapo power supply. It's a Meanwell. Yeah, this is a Meanwell power supply that you get with this. Now, if you don't know what that means, Meanwell is a very, 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 very good power supply company. Company that makes power supply. So honestly, like, that alone just shows you, really shows you the quality of this kit, and how everybody that is going ahead and had their hand in it. It shows it's a labor of love, because, well, everything's high quality, and that's what I truly like about this kit. Again, there are some mods out there that are not ideal, that are consoleized MVSs, to say the least, not ideal. So again, this hopefully will kind of combat that. And I 100% agree with the fact that he's going to be open sourcing it. Now he's right now trying to, it is closed source at the time of making this, time of streaming this here, and that's just because, again, he's got to, he's got to make his money back, and I 100% understand that for sure. But again, what's going to happen is he's going to eventually go ahead and open source it. Now that's exciting, because when you open source, once it's open sourced, hopefully there's going to be more of these out there. Maybe other people will offer kits. Maybe it'll be forked and improved in some way. Again, it's very exciting, and of course, it doesn't just get lost in time eventually when he does stop making them. So it's a win-win situation here. So I'm very excited about this project. I can't say enough good things about it. Now, as always, you gotta get this plastic off. It's super easy. 4 screws, 4 Phillips, and it's gonna come right off. Okay, there you go. Now this plastic you're not gonna reuse, so you can keep it around if, for example, you ever decide to put this back in a arcade cabinet. But honestly, with how cheap the MV1C boards, at least at the time of making this, are, which even they've gotten a little bit harder to find, a little bit more up in price. But if you plan to just use this for the Open MVS, then you're really not going to need that plastic again. Okay? Because again, you're going to get much nicer plastic. It's much nicer. So that's a good thing. So let's take a look at what we're going to be doing with this board now that we have it all apart. So we're going to be recapping it. There's only a few caps you actually have to keep, believe it or not. There's actually a lot of caps you have to take off. The audio amp is going to be gone. We're going to be taking this off, this huge heat sink off. We're going to be putting in the UniBIOS, which means we have to disable this BIOS here, which does mean we're going to be lifting 2 pins and short little solder there. Then over here, it's going to be hard to see, so I'll use the micro for you. Moment. So put this under the micro here, so it's upside down. But you'll see we're going to be soldering 2 wires here as well. Again, literally, boom, boom. And what that's going to be doing is essentially going ahead, and it's part of the audio circuit. So we're going to be tapping into the stereo sound, which is fantastic. So yeah, and then the battery. There it is. The last thing we gotta do. That battery. So we're going to take out this battery. We're going to still use a rechargeable battery. So again, that's important. And then we are going to go ahead and have like a coin cell holder, so you can just pop in a new battery. When if it does die, instead of having to desolder and all that stuff there. So you know what? Let's start there, right? Let's start there. So again, with this, you'll notice there is a pad usually on the bottom here. You're going to have to lift that up. Again, you can keep it if you want there. But essentially, we're going to lift it up at least to get to those points under there. You see those points under the micro. And just make sure the micro is nice and focused in. Whoop. So again, we're going to be just desoldering those. We're going to be soldering to the top one, and we're actually going to be removing some of the ground plane to solder to the coin cell there. So we'll do that first. We'll get that done and out of the way. So there is some light soldering, and again, this part of it right here is 100% optional. You don't have to do this. It's a good idea to do this, but you don't have to. So if you're not comfortable with soldering, and you're like, hey man, I just want this Open MVS, then technically there is only, take this whole thing off for now, there is only 2 points to solder. Neither of these are the ones you have to, so to give you a heads up on that. There we go. So just what we're going to do before we go ahead and use a desoldering gun, we're going to just flux it up and then add some new solder. So there you go. Now my soldering iron right now is at 325. Again, every soldering iron is a little different, as I always say. So, you're going to know your soldering iron best. Okay. Now another way you can do it too is you can just kind of snip off the battery. But here, I'm just going to, we have a desoldering gun. I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way. Okay. Just be careful when you're doing it, because of course the battery is going to get a little hot. There we go. It should come off. It's very has never given me trouble before. Let's put it that way. So there you go. So again, what we're going to do now is we're going to put in this new coin holder, which is very exciting, because then we get to use a much better means of changing out the battery. There we go. So yeah, it comes like a much nicer means of changing the battery. Sorry for the crinkle noise. Unless you're into it, then you're welcome. There we go. See? That's all it is right there. So we're going to go ahead and put this over yonder. Actually, kind of like that right there. Does he include the battery? Yes, he does. So actually, I think I have I'm gonna grab that. There's actually two types of batteries you can use. There's a lot of stuff in this bag. There's a lot of stuff they give you in this bag. Let me tell you. So there you go. Alright. So you can use an ML or an LIR. So actually here, oh, wow, isn't it? I had an ML right here the whole time. So you could either use an ML, so I'll put that under the micro so you can see, an ML 2032 you can use, because again we're keeping the recharge circuit. Now there's a way to disable the recharge circuit and just use a regular CR 2032. We're not going to do that today. And again, this will keep the recharge circuit, so it needs to be a rechargeable battery. Don't put a CR 2032 in there if of course you are going to be, going ahead and doing that. No, it's not on Twitch, just here on YouTube. But thank you for stopping by. Thank you for stopping by. I know sometimes I'll do it on both, but not today. Just doing YouTube today. And then so this is LIR 2032. So we're going to use this too. I mean, both are going to be the same. The ML or the LIR. Again, both are going to be rechargeable, and that's really what we're looking at. Okay, keeping that rechargeable circuit. So first thing you need to do before you put it in is, of course, you're going to have to go ahead. I'm just going to move this all off to the side here. And this little area right here. Okay, so right here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to just... oh, you're on Paul's Discord. Nice. There you go. Again, Paul is fantastic. He's awesome. So we're going to actually be removing this right here. Now what this is again, it's part of the ground plane. So that's what we're going to be soldering to, because if you notice, you can't really solder to these 3 points that we just, from the original, right? We're going to solder to this point though. See, so right there. And if you look, right about where that ends up is going to be, boop, right about here. So we're going to go ahead and take off that ground plane. So we're going to do that first. You just take an X-Acto knife and you just scratch off the solder mask. Okay? It's literally one of the ways to do it. You can put in another battery holder that goes up. But this is the one included with the kit. So I decided I want to go ahead and do it like this to kind of show you if you do get the kit. Of course, if you get the kit, you know, this is what you're going to expect. Okay, so there you go. You can already see the solder mask is coming off. What I like to do after that is take a fiberglass pen like this and just go ahead, it cleans it up a bit there. Okay, and then we're going to need this X-Acto knife when we do the universe BIOS. And yes, there was something on I saw somewhere, I forget now, where it was like, is it universal or universe? And it's universe. It's literally, I have one of the originals that I'm putting in here. So yeah, so again, that should be good enough right there. Maybe even go a little bit more, and then we can go ahead and put in the battery holder. Done and done. Again, like I said, definitely an optional mod, but you know, recommended. Recommended. That's for sure. Alright, flex it up. Once you flex it up, line it up, and there you go. So, what we'll do is, I'm going to put a little bit of solder here, just to get that started. Because that's probably one of the harder things to do with this, is that of course it's right like in the middle there. So if you go like that, where you don't, you know, you line everything up, heat it up towards the middle there. Then you can just, whoosh, okay, it'll flow down like so. And there you go. Make sure it's nice and steady. Oh, see, it didn't go through. Wasn't nice and steady. Wasn't nice and steady. Unbelievable, this guy. Let's try that again. So if you look, I'm actually melting the solder underneath. If you want, you can even do this way. I totally forgot. That's right. This comes right out. Actually, let me grab the tweezers. Where's my tweezers? Yeah, we'll actually leave that. You know, we'll leave it in. Line it up a little bit better. Okay, there we go. That's parts in. So as long as we're touching this, we'll be in good shape. Get a little bit more flex on there. There we go. Beautiful. There we go, get a little more flex in there. Make sure it's in there nice and good, nice and straight. Leave it for a second to make sure it's attached, and that is attached. Like, that ain't going nowhere. That ain't going nowhere. So there you go. And then you just clean it up with some iso purple alcohol, and use good. Use good. There we go. And then a little bit of this. Look at that. There we go. So although we're using Kester No Clean Flux, that doesn't mean you shouldn't clean it, because you should. It still leaves a residue. So I'm using high, over 90% isopropyl alcohol. That's what you want to do. Alright, we'll leave the battery out for now. But essentially, there you go. There it is. It's in place. See? It's in place, not going anywhere. And you can easily change that socket out. Easily. Okay? So, good stuff overall. So that's one mod done. Our next mod, we'll actually go ahead and we'll take out the audio amp. So you're not going to need this audio amp once you use the Open MVS platform there. We're actually going to take stereo directly from the board, so we actually don't need this thing. Now there's two ways to go ahead and take this off. You can desolder it, or you can go ahead and, you know, snip it off, if you're not, especially if you're not going to use it again. So either way, you can do both. You do have to go ahead and snip off the actual heatsink. Again, you can do what I just said. You can take it off, but you know, for this one, a lot of times if you snip it off, sometimes it'll fall out, sometimes it won't, but sometimes it will, especially if you have to heat it up and do that. So, you know, as thinking to myself, okay, if you were someone who maybe didn't have a desoldering iron, that is what you would do. So let me show you how. Okay, sometimes it just comes right off, sometimes it doesn't, and that's okay. Because the heatsink, turn up your iron if you are going to add any new solder to it. The reason why is because with the new solder, well, it's a heatsink. Like, the whole thing's a heatsink. So again, applying heat's definitely a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. Here we go. Let's focus you back up. Because again, it's a heatsink. It's going to go ahead and, well, take all the heat away from the joint. So I'm just going to keep heating it up. But the Open MVS, the case itself, won't fit unless you go ahead and take this off. So there you go. Be patient. It's heating it up. Yep, there we go. And that's out. There we go. And the other one, so the other one did get snipped out. That was cool. That was cool. Okay. So because we unscrewed the actual amp itself, came right out. And then we'll just fix these up. Okay, where's those tweezers at? I wouldn't know how many times I've done that where I was like, I was holding this only 2 seconds ago. Yeah, I'll use my other tweezers then. Yeah, what did I do with my other tweezers? Huh, oh, there they are. Okay, so let's go ahead and, just because I have the desoldering gun, might as well go ahead and just desolder those pads. Now you notice I've watched streams before. I always do desoldering gun that way, where I can hold the board essentially, and desolder, so the gravity helps out. Okay, so there you go. So this is off. Now we're gonna go ahead and take this bad boy off. Take off the actual amp itself. We don't need it. If you do not plan to use the board again, you could take your flat cutters and snip it right off. If you do plan to use the board again, you can go ahead and desolder it. That is completely up to you. I don't know, I think I'll desolder. Why not? Let's desolder. So as always, whenever you desolder something, always add new fresh solder to it. You can put a little bit of flux there to help it flow. And again, if you were in a hurry or you didn't have a desoldering gun, you could just go ahead and just cut it as well. Okay. Some even fold it back. So whatever you want. Alright. Let's desolder it. So how'd we do? Okay, so most of it got desoldered off. Most of it. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of help it along a little bit. There you go. All I'm doing is just put some heat to some of these joints. Again, don't even have to do this. You could easily just cut it off. And I may. If I get too mad about it. Some of the points are being very stingy. Am I at least under? No, so I'm not even under. So modding and streaming is not as easy as it seems. That's okay. Okay. So what I'll do is just snip it off and we'll just clean it up. So I'll just clean it on up after that. So add a little bit more fresh solder, and then we'll just desolder it right out. Just to keep it clean. Now if you cut it off, just be careful. There's some pins that might still be in there. Nice and clean. I could clean that one a little bit more. Alright, and then because we've used flux and everything else on this, and just to make it look better, we'll just go ahead and clean it all up. Clean it all up. There's one hole still with solder in it. Obviously it does not matter, but you know, for the sake of making it look nice, just go ahead and desolder that off. Yeah, this is me getting a little OCD about it, but it's okay. Just a wee bit OCD, just a wee bit. There we go. Alright, let me clean out this tip a little bit too, so that's always a good idea when you're using a desoldering gun, just to kind of, you know, give it a little clean, like that, while you're doing it. Alright, let's go back to cleaning up all the ISO, or all the flux with ISO. There you go. Alright, so already we're in really good shape. Here we are, we've got the heatsink and the audio removed. So there you go there. That's perfect. We have the new battery holder installed. And so what we're going to do next is we have a few things we could do. Let's do the recap. Let's do that next. So with the recap, like I said, there's actually a whole bunch of caps you don't need. Once you go to just using this, the stereo. So what we're gonna do. So I have some of the caps we're going to be using right here. Again, I recommend, as any modder should, Nichicon caps or Panasonics. Again, what is essentially high quality capacitors that you're going to use. So what's interesting about this board is, like I said, a lot of these have to do with the mono amps, and you don't need them. You can take them off, keep it a nice and clean board. What we're going to keep is AC 1, 2, 3, 4, and 11. So a lot of these other ones, like right down this row here, we can get rid of them. So you don't have to do this, but again, the way I see it is there's less chance of something going wrong if you go ahead and take them out now, like later down the road, you know. So again, just gonna add some solder, and we'll get the ones that we don't need out first. Again, you can just clip them off if you'd like. One. Go. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, all right there. So again, we could take off. We took off these three. We could take off these three as well. Altogether, we should have only 5 capacitors left on the board that you need to use. That's only 5 in comparison to 11 capacitors that need to be replaced after all doing this. So yeah, and less likelihood of capacitors leaking. This one's being a little... We'll heat it up instead. We'll clean it up after. Add a little bit more fresh solder to it. It actually may fall out. Let's see. There we go. Now what's interesting about these MV1C boards is a lot of times when you look at them, you'll notice the date on them, and you'll notice that they're actually kind of newer, right? So some of them are legit, like from 1999. So, you know, realistically these capacitors, you know, might still be good. You know, it's just one of those preventions, you know? One of those things that to, you know, essentially go ahead and, you know, it's preventative maintenance. There's the word. Preventative maintenance. So, yeah, it's a good thing to do if you, especially if you have the tools just for some preventative maintenance. Now what I'm going to do is essentially just clean up these holes. So, that's all. So again, kind of doing a very optional thing here. There we go. and we'll clean it up. And we'll clean it up. Okay. All right, so now on to the actual. I'm just gonna turn this a bit. Onto the actual caps that you can replace. So we're gonna go over what they are. Again, it's only gonna be 5 of them on this board when we're all said and done. So again, you'll see it's really nice. It's really nice. Kind of cleans it up a little bit. So the 5 capacitors you need are the ones that are still on the board right now. So if you're looking at this camera here, the top camera, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one over here. Okay, so actually I believe it's 1, 2, yeah, 3, 4, and then number 11, which is over here. Okay, so I'm going to be replacing with Nichicon caps, good quality caps. Okay. So I'm just going to check out, so for example, I'm going to do this one at a time. So this is 16 volt, 10 microfarad right here. This is 16 volt, 10 microfarad right here. So these two, again, AC3, AC4, are the same. So they are the same. And we're going to be replacing it with the same, which I have. We'll double check. I had. Let's see where it is. It might be in the box. There we go. It was. So, yep. There we go. So we'll just go ahead and we'll deal with those two first. So, the usual, which is a little bit of flux. And if you've recapped anything before, it's no different. A little bit of flux. And just kind of, yep, nice. It is marked with the positive and negative on the board. Most boards are. But you never know, you just want to double check too. There you go, add some fresh flux, some fresh solder to it. There we go. There we go, just kind of make sure it's all nice and heated up. Especially again, those ground planes, they suck that heat. So then, go ahead. My filter might need changing, to be honest. It's getting a little harder. Yeah, these are pretty cheap caps actually, so it's good to do this. There we go. Alrighty. Yeah, so we're gonna have to just heat this up a little bit, take out any excess solder. But, you know, no big deal. No big deal. I also would, what we're going to do is clean the pads themselves with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol. Mainly because, again, these pads, you know, you never know if there was any type of leakage, maybe even just a little bit, and you've got it desoldered anyways, so you might as well. You might as well. You got nothing to lose. Everything to gain. There we go. Just kind of making sure these pads are. Hopefully it'll be able to go through them. I might have to do a couple of clean up these pads here. You can also just wick it too, if you want it. So there you go. Let's continue on. So I'm gonna clean it up. Clean up those pads, and then we'll go from there. Put on the new ones. Keep it going. So again, the board is marked, like how you want to do it. So how you want to go ahead and put your capacitors in. So it is marked. So make sure to just put the positive where you need to put the positive, negative where you need to put the negative. Still a little bit of solder. It's keeping it from coming through here. So. Yeah, this ground plane just really does just take all that heat. Oh yeah, where is this still solder in there? let's get the solder out of there. Jeez. Not too big a deal. There we go. Yeah, this ground plane is really soaking this one in particular. Yeah, it really is. Come on. So add a little more flux. And we're gonna just put in a little bit more solder from, let's do it from the other side. Maybe that's what's happening here. Yeah, I really can't believe this, how stubborn this ground, this one's being. I've only done a million recaps, but then you do it on a live stream, and of course it's doesn't go as planned, right? Let's see if it'll come off now. Definitely better. Yep. Okay. Jeez, that took way too much than it should have. Let's see. Well, I shouldn't count my eggs before they're hatched, right? Just make sure. Be going through that hole. Oh my goodness. Only because it's a live stream. Only because it's a live stream. Let's see, can I... There we go. bolts in. Way more than I should have taken. My goodness. And we'll put the other one in here for you, so you can see that on cam. Come on. There we go. So that was AC3, AC4. So there you go. And so we'll solder those in a moment. We still have to take out this one right here, which is AC1. Now AC1 is 47 microfarad and looks like 16 volts. So we can go up a little bit if we need to with the volts, but I got a 47 one right here. So 47, 16 volt. So there you go. So same technique. Hopefully it'll be easier this time. I don't know what was going on with that last cap. Last two caps there. So let's go ahead. A little bit more solder and a little bit more flux. And again, let's do it. Hopefully this will just come right on out. That would be ideal. And again, one side came out, one didn't. Let's turn up this. You know, I didn't want to burn off pads, so I'll turn it up a little bit. That's why I had a little bit less than normal. So I don't want to burn up any pads because these pads are small. So. It does look like I'm going to have to do just that. So turn it up a little bit. Yep, there you go. Popped right out. Let's clean up these holes. Go. Did I bump that? No, that's fine. That's fine. Looks good. There we go. Alrighty, let's clean it up. And then we can solder all three of those in. Just boom, boom, boom. Clean it up on both sides. Alright, and so that was a 47. Perfect. Put that in there. this side of the way. And there we go. Just gonna push it right on through. And then we'll go ahead, we'll solder them up. There we go. And we'll start with that one. There we go. Like to flip it over, make sure it's straight, it's how I want it. After you tack one leg in, then do the other leg. So there you go. I already put the flux here for these ones. So we'll just go ahead. Get that into place as well. There you go, make sure it's all good. Then that little other leg straight up. Side of that into place. There we go. Last but not least, go. Put this up. There we go. I'm going to put a little bit more flux. Clean this all up. And then we'll trim them down. You know, I don't know how my solder got on the wrong side. My solder roll. I never have my solder roll. Oh, I'm not even under. I never have my solder roll over here. It's weird. It's weird to have it over here on the right side. It's on my left side. There we go. Much better. And I'll just cut off the ones that are already done. So, cut. Cut. Cut, cut. And we'll actually just push these two up real quick. And actually put a little bit of liquid flux on it. I want that to flow down really well. There we go. Now I can just a little touch up there. And here. Yeah, I just kind of switched over to the Flex pen, and I liked it at first, but then I didn't. And it's only because I got to press sometimes real hard to get the flux out. So I'm probably gonna go back to the liquid. You know, liquid does get everywhere, and that's what was annoying me. I was like, it's everywhere. I have to like constantly clean it up. But man, sometimes it just works really well. versus just getting the liquid out of the pen, and then the pen, doesn't give you as much or anything like that, and you're like, oh man. So I don't know. Maybe it's all in my head, but I think I'm gonna go back to the liquid bottles soon. So yeah. Alrighty, let's take a look. Look at those 3 little guys, huh? There we go. We got ourselves these 3 new caps. Here, I'll put it here. So bada bing. So we're gonna do this one and that last one, and then we'll move on. We'll move on. Actually, I think by then we can do the universe BIOS, and then then we can start putting the piece together, putting the mod together. So this one is a 4.7 microfarad at 25 volts. As always, when you go to volts, you don't really have to, so you can exceed the volts that are there, some microfarads that are the very important part in electrolytic capacitors. So definitely it's definitely what you want to pay attention to. So that popped right out. That's good. Put that over here for a second. Let's clean up those holes as we normally do. Even a positive. Had some solder stuck in there. Oh, it still does. Alright, let's clean it up. And then we'll put the new cap in. Alright, so 4.7. 4.7. Let's see. I think it's here. Yes, 4.7, 25. Oh, perfect. There we go. We'll put it through. And we'll solder it right on in. There we go. Already fluxed it up there. There we go. Make sure it's nice and straight on this side. Yep. And cut. and then clean. And repeat. Alright, only one more cap to go. This one. So this is a 470 microfarad 16 volt. Okay. So, put some flux on there. Add some new solder. Kind of make sure that gets nice and there we go, nice and wetted. And then let's take it off. All right, and off it popped. So. Been pretty good. Just want to clean up that ground again. Just gonna push some of the solder through and suck it out. There we go. Again, let's clean it up. Both sides, and then we're done with the recap. All right, so 470 microfarad 16 volt. We get some of those here for sure. It is just nice. You know, it's peace of mind to know that you've got good quality capacitors when you do this. Once you do a recap, you know, it really is peace of mind, which is really nice. Oh yeah, there is still solder in that hole. There we go. Oh my goodness, I bent the leg. Just snip that a little bit off. Yeah, these legs are thick. Yeah, let's see if I can get some of this solder out of the way. There we go, I can definitely see through it now. There we go. And there we go. Make sure that's nice and wetted through. Alright, recap complete. Alright. Recap complete. Let's see if I can even do a little bit more by just heating it up and holding it down. There we go. Perfect. Alright. So now let's do the universe BIOS. Now the way the universe BIOS works is that you have to actually go ahead and disable the universe, the original BIOS. So that actually comes about by lifting 2 pins and going ahead and soldering 1. So let me kind of clear up some stuff here for now. Alrighty. So let's focus back on the board here. So I'm going to move this actually in here so you could see the Toshiba chip. Perfect. So this Toshiba chip right here is your BIOS. So what you'll notice is we have pin 1, which, where's my, I want to show you my X-Acto knife. So, alright, I'll just use this. Although I'm going to need the X-Acto knife, but I put it down right there. There it is. It's hiding. It's hiding. Alright, I'll use it with the tweezers though. Okay, so again, there's your notch in your chip. So this means, here we go, we got pin 1 right here. So the 2 you want to lift up are pin 10 and pin 12. So again, you just count the actual pins and then you're going to lift them up. Okay. On top of that, with pin 10, you're actually going to go ahead after it's lifted up and you're actually going to solder it over to pin 21. Now pin 21 is easy. It's already marked for you. It's actually right here. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to lift 2 pins and then solder 1 pin to another pad. Now you don't lift pin 21 though. That's important. So if you want to see where pin 10 and 12 are, all you got to do is count. So let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's going to be these 2 points right there. You can even see there's like little vias that come off of them. So what you want to do, or the way I like to lift pins, is take an X-Acto knife and your soldering iron. Now I'm going to turn the soldering iron down to like 300 here. We're not soldering anything. We just want to heat it up so we'll be able to pull it up. Okay, especially 10, because 10 is actually going to be soldered to. Okay, so I like to get it in place right here. I'll just heat it up. I'm not cutting with the X-Acto knife. I'm just lifting. That's all. Be careful about all the other pins. May turn it up a little bit actually. Yeah, I'll turn it up. We'll go to like 340-ish. Okay. So all you're doing is just, you don't even have to add new solder. You just have to heat up that pin. So then you put just the littlest of pressure on it. It'll come up. There we go. So that one just got lifted up. So we're gonna kind of, there we go, lift it up a little bit more there. Double check it's the right pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then we have 12. So let's go ahead and lift up 12, same way. There we go. And 12 is lifted up as well. Now we're actually only going to solder 10 over to pin 21. So you're going to need a little wire for that. Nothing too thick. In fact, I'll cut it down to size right now. And again, I like to use the nail clippers to actually help out a lot with doing, really small cuts and strips. Again, I use obviously wire strippers for like everything else, but this works really well. All right, and then what I gotta do is just go ahead. I'm gonna just tin those ends. See if I can move this over here for now. There you go, just tin those ends. Again, you can use helping hands, but right now I just tinning, so. There you go, just doing that real quick. Let's move this back into place. So, I'm gonna tin the pad, put a little flux there, tin the pad, and then we're gonna go ahead and put some on the pin too. So, just gonna tin it. There you go. Got more solder for it to adhere to. And then, what we've got going on so far, again, we fluxed that pin for pin 10. Oh, it was just out of shot, wasn't it? There we go. And so I just heat it up real quick, put the wire on pin 10. There you go. Make sure it's on there nice. Do a sweep, make sure it only contacts pin 21. So I'm going to shorten this a bit. Okay. Do a 90-degree bend. There you go. And with that, you've now disabled, yet kept in place, the onboard BIOS. Now what I recommend, just because it's super cheap, is put a little cap down tape between the, first make sure it's, the two pins that are lifted up aren't touching any other pins. Make sure it's soldered in nice. And then, let's put a little cap down tape there, just underneath, between the pins you lifted up and the, on the pads between there and then the pins you lifted up. The reason being is, again, the odds of it coming back down, could happen, but it's just a good practice to do. Okay, so just like the X stations and stuff in the mode. That's all. I only have this thicker cap down tape, but it works. Especially because, in this case, especially, it's such a small area that we're actually going to be using it. over the course of just 2 pins. Even that's still too thick. Let's cut that down further. Okay. So remember, you don't want these pins to touch those pads. So let's just, a little Kapton tape there. Just some easy insurance, that's all. Just put it underneath. Like, came back to me, came back at me, like so. Where's my other set of tweezers? Over here, of course. There we go. There we go, so we hold it, and then just kind of put that down. Okay, so there you go. You can even see those pins, even if they were to come back down, won't hit the pads. Okay, and you can take pin 12 off if you never want to use it again. You could flip it up if you wanted to, but again, the only reason why I don't is because, one of the big things is that if someone wants to take this back to stock, they could. Okay, so however do you put on this BIOS? So first you put your Universe BIOS in the Neo BIOS Master VMC. Alright, so you put it in there first. Perfect. Then what do you do? See this? See this right here? This is going to plop on right here, where it says top of 68,000 rather. It's talking about this chip right here, the Motorola 68,000. The top is right here, because again, this is the top of the chip. You can see where the little DIN is. So you just put it over there. Watch this magic. Watch it on the big cameras where you really want to see it. You're installed. There you go. After you disable the onboard BIOS, you just go ahead and make sure it's all the way down, which is key. So make sure it's all the way down. And it just fits right over that chip. And that's why this is a fantastic mod right here to do. It's very easy once you go ahead and you disable the onboard BIOS. Super easy. Okay, so now we've come to the point where, well, first, come to the point here where we can do the one solder we need to do for the Open MVS, and that is actually to the audio, to get stereo audio out. So this is truly, even though, yes, we've been on here for, what is it now, an hour and a half, and we've recapped the board, take off all the recaps we didn't need, went ahead and took off like the mono sound amp and everything else, and we've replaced the coin battery here, so we can keep could change out the battery if need be. We finally got to the one solder joint that you are going to have to do. I know. And that is, of course, the solder joint for the stereo audio. Okay, so let me go ahead and get back into that bag of goodies. And what you'll see right here, so there you go. Oh, didn't want to do that. That's for the screws. What you'll see on this board right here, and this is the one that has the actual 9-pin mini DIN, the Sega Genesis Model 2 port. What you'll see is it has a connector that has 2 wires coming off it, red and black. And again, although we've been on for a while and we've been doing a whole bunch of other mods, putting a Universe BIOS mod in, etc., this is the only the only soldering you really have to do on this entire kit if you want to. Okay. So all you're gonna do is I'm gonna take it out. you'll see there's a red and black wire already pre-stripped. How much nicer can they get? Alright, look at that. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to go ahead and install it on... I can move this over a little bit now. On this chip right here. So essentially, I'm going to show you what it goes on like. Because it's like any stereo mod. You're going to have the black that's going to go on this pin right here, the outer pin. And the red that's going to go on the other outer pin. Okay? Just like that. So what we're going to do is go ahead and flex it up a bit. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and wet those joints. Again, I'm going to have my soldering iron, we'll do 325. You don't want to burn off anything. Okay. Let's put that there. Let's go ahead. Just add a little bit. There we go. It's actually easier because I'm right-handed to do it this way. It's just I want to get it on the cam for you guys, but there we go. Oh, this will work. It's not ideal, but it'll work. And there you go. So I just go ahead, re-wet, just kind of wet those two joints with fresh solder. It's still got that flex on it. I'm gonna do the black wire here first, which is negative. Again, it's already pre-tinned as well. So there you go. And the red wire. Again, already pre-tinned. I'm gonna use my tweezers for this to help keep it on nice. And there you go. That is literally the only soldering you technically have to do in this mod. It's awesome. I mean, that's what's really so great about this mod. It really is. It's very beginner friendly. Again, if all you want to do is just put it together, and of course, it's done by people who know what they're talking about. So it's a legit mod that you know will actually work and continue working. I've seen mods, consoleized mods where it worked. Next time they turned it on, it didn't work. Like, there you go. So just gonna expect that. Yeah, it looks good. I could touch it up a little bit more, but yeah, just touch it up just a quick bit there. That's all. Oh, see, this is where my OCD comes in. I need to. It's my too much gene. It's like, oh, it's fine, but it could be a little bit better. There we go. I'm actually going to put a little bit more fresh solder on my tip. One of those moments where I could have just left it alone, but I didn't. Had to do that little bit to just make it a little bit better. In my opinion, a little bit better. This is where I have to remind myself that it's going to be closed up. No one's going to see it, okay? It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. There we go. Okay. And then walk away. There we go. Sorry. Sometimes I can't. I just like, oh my goodness. It's like little things that really shouldn't matter. And I'm like, oh man, I need to like just make it look so good, even though no one's gonna see it. Alrighty. So here we are. We're at a great step right here. because what we have to do is the one thing we haven't done yet is we put in this sweet new coin cell. We didn't put the, holder. We didn't put the coin cell in. Now we can. Oh my goodness, there it is. Bada bing. Oh, beautiful. So there you go. So essentially right now we've got to recap for those of us who just joined us as well. So welcome. Again, we took off the caps we don't need. Okay, so there was some caps we did not need, we took right off. Okay, we took off the mono amp, the audio amp, and then the heatsink that goes with it. We recapped the caps we do need. We added a coin cell holder, and we did the Universe BIOS mod. And finally, we did the stereo, audio mod that we're gonna just plug right in. So finally, we can start to actually put this bad boy together, which is exciting. So here is the bottom. Put this off to the side for a second. So this is the inside of the bottom. So a couple things we need to do is go ahead and actually put in the JAMA adapter that comes with it. That's this thing. So first, I'm actually gonna unplug this. This is going to be, like I said, the mini DIN, so I'll put that there for now. And so, whoop, did I just move stuff? I did move stuff. Whoop. Oh boy. There we go. So, put this in first. Get the elastic off around it. Go. Alrighty, so kind of untangling it a little bit here, and then I'll actually go ahead. So essentially, this is going to go right in here. So we're going to test fit it, make sure it fits in. Oh, it fits in nice and snug. Look at that, huh? Oof, that's going to be good. That's going to be good. Okay, I'm going to unplug this. This is for the power. So again, the power adapter is going to go back here. So we're going to go ahead and put that in as well. And we're going to put this in as well. So look how everything just slides right in. Look at this. See that? Just like it's supposed to. Just like it's supposed to. Again, so much care was made. So much care was made with this, this kit. It truly is incredible. It really is. It really is incredible. So, put the power adapter in first. We'll take this out for now. Again, I just kind of wanted to test fit it, make sure it was all good there. So this is the part that's going to be a little bit hard to even just show because this is such a big thing and this camera is only about as high as it can go. Because normally I'm zooming in on stuff that I'm soldering. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this in. There we go. So I drop the power adapter in the back. And then you've got the hex nut that you can put through. There we go. And it should go ahead and go in there. Now what's kind of nice is that you're thinking to yourself, how am I going to get a tool in there? How are you going to get a tool in there? See how it's a hexagon? You should be able to turn it and it'll actually tighten because it's just fits so well. Once it gets threaded on there. There we go. Come on. I'm gonna hold it in with tweezers. And then it should start to tighten. goal is that it'll start to actually tighten around it, because that hexagon cutout will like essentially kind of hold it like a tool would. Once it's in place. Just double check my notes. Yeah, that should be it. Let's see if I can hold it in place with my tweezers. There we go, my other tweezers. Let's see if that'll help. There we go. Feels like it's tightening. And it's not. Okay. Tighten this way, maybe? Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it's getting tighter. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So if you don't know, that doesn't really come with instructions, so you kind of have to do a little bit of figuring out for yourself. And again, as you can imagine, this is the first one I personally have done of these kits. Okay, so once that's in like that, there we go. Yep, see, just turned it and it tightened right up. Okay, so a little hint for that would be what I was doing is I was holding the nut in place. Okay, so this cutout that's there, that's 3D printed there, we'll hold it, and then I tightened it on the outside. Okay, and now it's in there nice and tight, so that's good. So that's what you got to do. We're also going to put this in. So this goes literally right into here. So if you look, it's going to go right in like that. And it should push all the way in. There you go. Perfect. See? So you can see that. And then we're just going to go ahead, line up the screw holes, which again, it's a 3D print, so you know, you might have to cut or... But he fits it really well, though. You may not have to cut it all. Yeah, because this is pretty well fit in. So, the screws are labeled. Look at this. So we got main board, bottom shell, controller AV card slot brace. So, for bottom shell, I'm going to assume this is going to be, put it all together in the end. AV ports, there we go. So, they look like they're all M3 screws. They do have the Allen yeah, they're Allen wrenches, but he actually gives you an Allen wrench, so even more convenient. And so let's go ahead. I like that everything was labeled. That's really nice. And we'll just go ahead and we'll pop this in. Yeah, so again, things are 3D printed, so gonna kind of work with it a little bit. There we go. Now it's getting in there. Just kind of watching it. Put these all off to the side. Just going through. We'll just make sure it's going through the PCB. Awesome, okay. That seems like it is. So before I tighten that all the way down, I'm going to go ahead and put in the other screw. So there's 2 right here. Yeah, I gotta put a little pressure on it so it starts, you know, really gripping into that 3D print. I'm actually gonna shut off that for now. It looks like it's not completely lined up well. Yeah, the other side is, yeah, the other side is. Okay, that's just 3D print tolerances, you know. That's going to be expected, you know. It's going to be expected. With anything that's 3D printed. I want to see if I can maybe move the PCB. Well, you know what? I'm not going to be able to. Yeah. So yeah, it's just that PCB. Sorry, that 3D print kind of, you know, tolerance. Plus you have the white connector there, so. There we go. Now it's biting into the 3D print. Oh, it's biting in there. Make sure it's still biting into here. There we go. Screw and screw it and screw it in. Yeah, it's kind of the best way to do it though, because, you know, what you'll notice is, you know, even what's interesting about this, which something, I don't know what to be able to do, but because there's just not a lot of clearance, here I'll show you. There's not a lot of clearance between the screw and the plastic. It actually moved it. Yeah, AV port screws. Yeah, they're all the same size heads. So, yeah, that's the only thing. It did move that connector. There's nothing you can do about that. Maybe try to move it back carefully. But, yeah. So that's like kind of one thing. It's you know, give you a heads up on. Is that it is a 3D print. So, again, do expect it to, you know, have to be finagled a little bit. Let's see if I can move it back though. Break it. That's the key. It's gonna be hard. There we go. All right, I got it back straight. But Yeah, you see, yeah, straight enough. So that's one thing that's kind of a watch out for, if you will. All right, then we can actually insert this into the JAMA edge. I believe that would be the next step. Yeah. So pretty simple there. And put in the controller ports. We can start to even run the wires a little bit. So actually, yeah, let's do that. Let's start to run a little bit of wires here. So I'll run through the JAMA. Yes. It's a really short run of wire there. So, how about that one? Okay, so let's put this in. So we'll put in through the controller ports. Then should be able to be careful of everything else. There we go. Right into the controller ports. Perfect. Okay. And we could route these under the board. Do that. There is space under the board to do that, so we definitely can. So I'm gonna try routing it here. You know what? Let's try that. Take this out for just a second. Let's see how we can route some of these. So I'm gonna route this one out here. I think that'll be good. Like this one can go through the JAMA, like that JAMA slot there. And same with probably this one. No, probably not actually with this one. This one we can actually connect back together. So we'll connect the power back together. With that quick harness. There we go. So we'll tuck that underneath. Have that go in there. And then now let's plug it in to the JAMA. There we go. So from here, I'm going to go ahead, plug in the audio, plug in the video. So I'm going to route that. I said it's being routed underneath already. So I'm going to just kind of, there we go. Route that, and put that right into its place there. There you go. And then just kind of, put that under the power there. Yeah, we're gonna probably have to just unless there's a way to kind of route it more. This? Okay, yeah, that'll work. Okay, just kind of keeping clear of where I'm gonna put screws. This power harness is a little bulky. It's not going to fit onto the board. So, that's okay. So I'm going to move that off to the side. That's what I'll do with that. So then it'll fit more. Yeah, okay. Now it's going to fit flush because of that. Okay. Yeah, it looks like that's not much you can really do about that. Yeah, you just kind of have to route it like that. So it seems anyway. Not a big deal at all. And considering the mess of most consoleized MVSs, this is really clean. Okay, so I'll even just show you real quick before I start screwing stuff in. So this is how I've routed it. I feel like this is probably going to be the best way, and we'll see once we're done. So again, the power kind of goes underneath. Because of the harness they use, I kind of put it off to the side. It's not going to fit underneath. It just isn't going to happen. And then this goes to the port in the front there. So far, good. Okay. Then the AV, I kind of slotted right in between there. And then that kind of runs down the whole length of the board, comes up here. And with the stereo, although once I put the screw in, I think it's going to work better for this, is the stereo is going to go from here, loop underneath, come up here. So it gives actually a really nice, neat, path for everything. So yeah, pretty good. So let's continue with that bag of controller and AV ports, because let's put in these AV ports, screws. So the AV ports, screws, are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So again, it's 3D printed. So you might have to do a little bit of, work to get it in. You know what? Let's do this. Let's take the board out, because I'm not too sure. See, after all that, now that I'm looking at it, if we take the board out, it's kind of off to the side here, then we'll have space to actually do this. Take it out of the audio port. So I think that's really keeping it there. Yeah, put that over there. Okay. Now we should have more space to actually put this in. Okay. So that also is a good point. So screw these controller ports in before you put the jam in. Okay, just gonna get them started. There we go. This is kind of annoying. Do I have these where I can at least just use one straight out? Instead of using the little Allen wrench. Should. Nope, way too big. Okay, let's see if that works. Let's see. So I'm not going to try to use it, I'm just using it straight out so I have like a better, better leverage on it, especially since I'm going into 3D print here. So, you're making your own threads when you do that. There we go. That's all I do. Screwing it in. But hey, once it's in, you're probably not gonna have to take this out. There we go. This actually, I know you really can't see it on camera, but just sorry. But yeah, just gonna, it's the easiest way to get that in there. Okay. Take my bit. Thank you. There we go. So yeah, I love the Neo Geo, and I cannot say enough good about this project. Where, again, here we are. We're allowing, you know, a lot of arcade boards that might have been subjected to some pretty horrible stuff, you know, by getting consoleized in a way from someone who may not know what they're doing. And here we have honestly a great way to do it in a way that we know, through people that we know are doing it right. And that's huge. That's huge right there. It's kind of an annoying angle. I keep going back and forth. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll just do this. Maybe I'll just do this. Yeah, I can hear it going through the 3D print, you know. And that's essentially what it has to do, though. It has to get through the 3D print. Make its own threads, so. So it'll be tough in certain spots, and it'll just start to go in, and that's just the name of it. That's just the name of the game. I'll put this up here for you guys. You know, you see me turning a screw. Whoa. There we go. So that's all tightened in. Tightened in. Let's get this one in there more. Oh, that's definitely going through 3D print. Which the bottom, you know, you can tell is 3D printed. The top, like I showed at the beginning of the stream, looks fantastic. The quality is just amazing and doesn't look 3D printed. But, you know, no one's going to see the bottom, so, you know, everyone's going to be drawn to the top anyway because it looks so good. There we go. Controller ports are in. So let's take our board again. And so, like I was saying, we're going to go ahead and we'll put this no keyed hole. Line up the JAMA. Make sure it's going in right. There we go. Plug back in the audio. And kind of push everything under there. Okay. And again with the power, same. Where's my tweezers? There we go. We'll just kind of do a little loop there. Again, you have to have that harness there. There's really no way around that. Really isn't. Okay. There we go. There we go. So that bottom part right now, we just have to go ahead. We put in the cart slot brace screws. So it's going to be 4. Let's see. Let's do main board corner screws. Because now that I think about it, I think the cart slot brace is something that's going to go through the top too, as well. So let's do the main board. Okay. So that's the 4 corners. Look at that. Again, I'm gonna do a cross pattern so it's, you know, equal pressure. There we go. Thank you. Take that back. And the last corner here. So it's just the 4 main corners. You can see right where that's going to go very easily. And it just, yeah, holds that board nice and steady. So there you go. Alrighty. Make sure these are tight down. Nice and nice. One of these to go under there a little more, but seems like they kept popping out. Yeah, the red one popped up a little bit. Let's loosen that up a bit. Come on. Because I could feel that, you could feel there's like these like humps there, if you will. If that makes any sense. On the corner, so you want to go ahead and just make sure they're over those, so it's not, it doesn't have, so it gets into the space essentially. So when you tighten it down, it doesn't tighten on top of it. I would even more or less, there we go. So I want to leave a little bit of slack here. So it goes under. Okay, just make sure it's all good. Okay. Good and good. What I'm looking for is just make sure nothing's bowing. That's huge. You don't want anything to bow when you're really tightening it. So I was at the end there just kind of looking at the sides, making sure it's nice and straight with the board. Okay, because you always want to make sure that nothing, you don't bow the motherboard there. That's bad news, bad news. Cool. So far, here you go. I'm going to take a quick picture. So post later, because so far this is, you know, I think this is really everything that's needed for this part of the mod. And then we're going to work on the top. Okay, then we're going to work on the top. Because there's really not much left to do. It's really just the top now, which is pretty exciting. So the LED is already here. The top looks like this. Oh, that's part of it. Light back on. I can actually do that. So like I said, look at the quality of this top. It's unbelievable how smooth it is. You can tell he meticulously went ahead and sanded this. It looks just fantastic. I mean, it really does. Now the LED is going to go in here. I noticed it's already plugged in on this board, but I actually would want to unplug it. Put it in its slot first. There we go. So all that is basically you take the LED. You can see right in there. It just fits in. It's not going to move anywhere. So with this, you'll notice, and I'll put this off to the side for now. You'll notice is, oh, I even got it already nice and already got the sticky tape there. Is it also comes with this. Okay, peel this off, peel that off, and we're gonna put it right over there. Okay, so just so you can see, you're gonna peel this off, and put that right over there. Okay. Look at that acrylic. There we go. That's all it is, just like a very frosted white acrylic. You see, at least in this case, he already put on the pad it's going to stick to. So you just got to peel off the red. So I'm just going to get all 4 started. Sorry, 3. I can count. It's okay. Okay. There we go. And then let's go ahead. Yep, put this right over it. There we go. And that's what you get. That's what you get right there. That looks great. So now let's make the two. Again, we got the LED right here. We're going to plug that into here. Okay. Put the buttons through. Just carefully put it into place. There we go. Just put a little bit more on. Yeah, this part, especially the first time, you might have to do some, a little bit of finagling there. Should put those buttons on afterwards. That'll make it easier to line up the back. There we go. So it's like a channel in the back. There we go. Just put it into the channel, it looks like. There we go. Yep. And we'll put the buttons back into place. go. And then we'll put this in as well. I'm noticing something. We might have to move one of the capacitors. So we put, yeah, not too difficult at all, Mark. Yeah, thanks for joining us. Not too difficult at all. I mean, especially when you look at this finished product. That just looks super good right there. The one thing I'm noticing again from our recap is the new Nichicon cap. Seems like it's a little bit bigger than the stock one. Actually, do I still have the stock one on? Yeah, I do. So the stock one was smaller. The new one is a little bit bigger. Same value, but that's okay. So we'll have to go ahead and we'll have to change that out. Womp womp. Yeah, see, it's not gonna, won't fit. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. And that's kind of what's so nice about this kit, is that if you want to service it, it's pretty easy to just go ahead and do just that. You just take it right off. There we go. Take the buttons off too. And take off the LED. There you go. So yeah, so it looks like this new one. See? You can even see. You can definitely see when I put it like this. It's gonna hit that. Not a big deal. What we'll do is we'll take this back out. We'll kind of move it a little bit, so like, you know, we'll give it a little more leg so it can like bend a little bit. Yeah, and that's gonna be the best we can do with that. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that much bigger. Might be able to heat it up. We'll see how much we got underneath that we can do that. But nevertheless, it is what it is. That's what it is. And again, it's simply because we recapped. If you use the one that was already there, shouldn't have an issue. But I gotta do it now because you gotta see it all together. You gotta see it all together. So it is very easy to service, especially if you were to buy one and you wanted to service it later. Say you wanted to do a recap, or you know, like later, not while you're doing it. Again, it's that easy. You really can. It's made really well, like really high quality here. Okay, let's see what we can do. Probably not gonna have, and that's not a big deal because I have more of those caps. Probably just gonna put a new one in. Makes the most sense. What is it? 470 microfarad. I only have a ton of them. Okay. Because that way can maybe lean it over. We could. Yeah, I don't want to put the old cap back in. Eesh. Old caps. These are not good caps. Yeah, version 3.6. Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. Yep. So me as well. Actually, I have a 3.6 AES that I did the traces as well, and it looks fantastic. It looks fantastic with the 3.6 with the trace cut. Some people don't like the 3.6 because of the jail bars, but honestly, it takes 2 seconds to do that trace cut. Legit. 2 seconds, and I think you have, at least what I've seen, one of the best RGB Neo Geos, like one of the best ones of an AES. So, straight up. I know some people look for I believe it's the US model ones that have the early serials there. But yeah, honestly, a 3.6, you can find them. There's a ton of them, and yeah, it's the way to go. Do a trace cut, and you'll have some fantastic RGB, like really good RGB. It's like really good in a 3.6, I think. Another thing to do is with the 3.6, what I recommend is if you're getting the checkerboarding pattern, I like how I'm pointing with a soldering iron, the checkerboarding pattern, you can go ahead and disable composite video and instead run C-Sync through the composite video, and you'll get a much cleaner image as well. So just something to bear in mind there as well, if you wanted to clean up the checkerboarding as well, because that's what a lot of people complain about too. After they do the gel bar fix, they still see the checkerboarding. It's an easy fix for that. Okay. Now I bent the existing cap leg slightly, so let's see if we've got enough clearance now. Yeah, looks like we're just gonna put a new one in, new cap in, with a longer leg. That's gonna be the best way to keep. These are the only 4.7s I think I have, right? Yeah, 471s. I don't know why they're so big, but meh. Because it's the only ones I got. I got it's Nichicon. Good quality stuff. Just gonna go ahead with it. Alright, let's see. If I bend it like so. Now we got plenty of clearance, look at that. Right, this only goes on one way, right? Assuming it only goes one way. Yeah, this would make the most sense actually. If we went this way. And this would go over it. Yep, okay. Okay, so that's what it's going to be like. Okay, okay. So, again, yeah. Not ideal how that cap has to be, but it'll work. It'll be fine. It's not gonna, you know, affect performance by any means, so. There we go. So, I apologize, I'm not doing it on the microscope. It's just, you know, just kind of, I've already done all the soldering on the microscope. Just kind of a quick fix we're doing here. So, because I mean, who doesn't want to see it all put together at the end, right? Right. So you gotta do that. You gotta have the big reveal. So that's why. Okay. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do with that. Sorry, that's what we have to do with that. It's the only way it's gonna work with these capacitors I have. So just gonna do a quick clean of the no clean flux. Okay, and then we'll dry it off. Go from there. Let's put it back together. Now that it will fit. And again, that's nothing on the kit. It's just in the capacitors during the recap. Okay. So make that clear. Okay, so thin it all. Put this underneath, make sure everything's clear of the screw holes. Again, you don't want to screw it in and all of a sudden, whoops, you went through some stuff. Yeah, we'd actually save that cap. We didn't even use it. We just cut it off. It's no big deal there. And let's finish this up. Again, the way this goes together is just so easy. Now I've consoleized. I have consoleized MVSs before. In fact, I actually use some of the stuff that the Bahar brothers sell. So they have the one that has like an RGB SCART port. It has RGB out, so it has an actual just SCART port. So, and then they have one that does the VGA, which is, I did get that in thanks to Bob. So thank you, Bob. You're the man. How much is an unassembled kit? So this kit, I believe, was $150, if I'm not mistaken. But again, you tailor it to what you want, right? So you can do everything from a dual frequency oscillator, DFO. You can get the universe BIOS. Again, whichever you really, you cater it to what you want, which is really a cool thing. Now you can do pre-modded kits, like I said earlier in the stream. But the one thing I do know is right now he can't really get his hands on a lot of MV1C boards, MVS 1C boards. So really, the unassembled kit is going to be at least what's going on for the time being. So just bear that in mind. But as we've shown, it's so easy how to assemble it once you have an MVS 1C board, MV1C board. So it's very easy. Again, we just did a whole bunch of mods you don't need to do, but they're nice to do. Like a recap, like a universe BIOS, like a battery replacement, like a remove the caps you don't need. So yeah. So to recap, all pun intended, before we put it together, again, we've got the universe BIOS we put in. We took out the audio amp we're no longer using in the heatsink. Again, took out any caps we didn't need at all. It's all part of the mono circuit. Recap the ones for this, what we do need, caps that we do need on the board, with Nichicon high quality caps. Put in the coin cell there, and of course we went ahead and wired in stereo audio, which is part of the kit, and it just plugs right into the harness. That's the only soldering you need to do are those 2 points. Again, the rest is all completely optional. But it's me, so I was going to do it anyway. All I'm doing is plugging the LED back in, lining everything up, putting back the top shell. There we go. There we go. We'll just be careful of the buttons. Now this should fit in there now that we adjusted the cap. Yes, sir. Look at that. Bam! So I'm gonna just put the buttons back on so we don't lose them. There's two. One's the, I believe, you know, one is obviously power. The other one I think is insert coin, if not mistaken. But hey, you know, we'll find out once we fire it up. Only one thing, which really is true to, you know, Neo Geo hardware, that I wish, you know, could have done something with, is that these controller ports are very sunken in. Again, just like a AES and everything else, but I would have liked to have seen them come out a little bit more, because again, if you use like undammed USB adapter there, you're going to need to do an extension cord to go ahead and actually use that, otherwise it won't fit. And also some other ones too, some other ports that you use for like arcade sticks, it won't fit, so kind of stinks. So I kind of was like a little disappointed that it didn't stick out much. I mean, definitely looks cleaner when it doesn't stick out, but nevertheless. So again, because we're going into 3D print, I'm just, you know, this thing probably doesn't have, it has a little bit of torque to get through it, but it's essentially rethreading everything. Well, not rethreading, it's threading for the first time. Ooh. I apologize, with all the lights on, it probably looks like this case is orange, but it's very red, I assure you, it's very red. Which I could show it up to the better camera, and I'm sure it'll come out better. But because we have the overhead light, the light over here, I can already see on the preview it looks like orange for some reason. But no, it is MVS red. So there you go. So that's why you wanted to make sure you didn't have the screws going under any screw holes. Sorry, the wires going under any screw holes. Because again, they're used, so you don't want to, you know, screw through your audio and ground it out or something like that. So, very important. Important. We're almost done. What are we at? 239? Yeah, we also, you know, did a lot of other mods. And you could do this very, very quickly if you want. These screws are long. There we go. Alrighty. And then there's 4 screws on the bottom shell. Yep. 4 screws. So the 4 corners. That's it. That's it. And again, it's so nice that these are all labeled. So nice. So then the lengths don't get all messed up, because they are different lengths. They're all the same size, M3s, but different lengths. Yeah, see, that's not even. Yeah, let's turn this one by hand. There we go. Yes. Yes. The sanding of the outer shell must take him a long time. Yes. This, it's really unbelievable just how professional this outer shell looks. Honestly, it's really not, I hope it comes across in the stream, but I mean, it is so smooth, and it's a 3D print. But he sands it, he paints it, and again, when people wonder, like, oh man, why can't he release, like, more? Well, do you want the quality to go down? It's like, no, he does it because, he only does, I think, 5 a week, Avram there, because, again, it takes his time, and it takes time. So, I personally think it's fantastic. And again, for others, you can go ahead and, you can, once he takes it, once he goes ahead and makes it, whatchamacallit there, open source, I mean, people can do it. But, I would recommend, if you are thinking about it, get into it now, for sure. Put a pre-order in, find an MV1C board. They're still out there. They got way expensive. They're still cheap, but I was surprised when I looked at one. I was like, wow. This is like, I think, my third MV1C board I have in this house right now. One's in the arcade, one is in here, and the other one actually is just, I use normally with my super gun, and that's in the Lions 3 case. So yeah. And then I have a 1B as well. And yeah. I love the Neo Geo. I mean, who doesn't love the Neo Geo? It's so good. It's games for everyone. Any type of game you're into. As long as there's some really long screws, the shell ones. Just gotta keep screwing it like this. And again, especially because it just seems like it's longer, just because it's obviously the, it's through them threading the 3D print for the first time here. So, to the point where part came off in the screw. There we go. And part of the 3D print came off in the screw here, because yeah, these holes for the bottom shell aren't. They still have filament even in the holes a little bit, So, any new products on the horizon I'm looking forward to? Well, I think like everyone else, I'm gonna love to be installing those Ultra 64 by Dan and Christoph, and of course now Woozle. So those are gonna be, that's exciting. It's kind of the biggest one. Then the PS2 digital will be fantastic, and I even think last but not least, the original Xbox HDMI mod. Again, from Dan and Christoph, and maybe Woozle, will definitely be be huge. They'll be awesome. Right now, the Make Megahertz is pretty good. I've installed a few of those, and they're good. They had a little bit of an issue because of certain ones they need to do a QSB for, so certain model ones. So I did have to get them back and do that. But yeah, they overall though, I think that's a good alternative is the Make Megahertz, especially because it's cheap. But yeah, I think those are the mods I'm most excited for right now. I'm trying to think of any other ones that we know about. I don't think there is. That I know about. Oh, the RetroTink 5X. There we go. RetroTink 5X. Yep. Oh yeah, me as well. I have way too many. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know why. I have 3 DC digitals and 3 PS1 digitals. Not to mention I've installed all of them. I've installed them for others as well. And yeah, they look fantastic. It's worth the money. But yeah, I think the RetroTink 5X though, I'm pretty excited for that. Again, I like Mike G's products, and it's going to have motion deinterlacing. So that's huge for me. Because motion adaptive deinterlacing is a million times better than Bob deinterlacing. That's the reason why I built some GBS controls. Might get carpal tunnel after this. Oh yeah, definitely get the 64 one. Oh yeah, the Pocket. Yeah, I count my blessings. I did get a pre-order on the Pocket. So, granted, they Analog did release that. Hey, we're gonna be releasing more pre-orders. Like, don't worry, stuff like that. So you got a pre-order too? Good. Because I know a lot of people who didn't get a pre-order. They were very mad. So. It looks like they're going to be doing more on the horizon, which would be good. So yeah, I think the Analog Pocket's a very exciting thing too. And I'm excited for it. But the irony is, of course, I've already modded all of my handhelds. It'll look really good with the dock though. But yeah, I got Game Gear with a McWill screen and Lynx, and Turbo Graphics, Turbo Express with the LCD DVR. I have one of those I'm going to do soon for someone else. Sega Nomad with that. Yeah, but I'm just happy to have it. And the dock. I think the dock is cool. So I got the dock as well. They haven't released the cartridges though, the cartridge adapters, so that'll be good to see when those come out. I'll probably pick those up as well. But yeah, exciting stuff though, dude. The retro gaming community right now is very exciting. And as someone who's been a part of it for decades, it is really nice to see it start to get appreciative. There we go. And can't forget dust cover. But yeah, look at that. I'll put it up to this one. Look at that, huh? Look at the quality of that. Just look at that. That's a 3D print. That's a 3D print. And yet you could even see on the micro. It's just the texture is so nice. And it's smooth. There's not really a texture. It's just under the micro it looks it. But it's just the smoothness, what I mean, is so nice. And it just looks like a smaller AES. Except that, I went with red with this one because it had to. Neo Geo, right? Yeah, it does. It looks great. It does look great. So this is exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to eat dinner because it's dinner time around here, around these parts. But then, as always, on Twitter, I'm going to go ahead and post the finished pictures of it up on there. So follow me if you haven't already. So I'll post it in the same link that I posted the stream itself. So we can see it working. Unfortunately, I don't have a test monitor right here, or else I would. But even just looking at the back, look at that. Even got Sega Genesis Model 2 right there. Oh my goodness. It really is. Oh, this is the de facto consoleized MVS, and I love it. I love it. Open MVS. What more is there to say? as always, right? It's so good. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, thank you for joining me. And again, we'll catch you guys in the next stream. So thanks for joining me. And I'm glad, this thing looks, definitely highly recommend. Again, I should probably, even before I end it, just say where you can get one. So Avram right now doesn't have the, at the time of this right now, it doesn't have full kits. That are already pre-assembled. You have to get the assembled kit, and there is quite a wait for it. But again, a wait for this type of quality it's worth it. Let me tell you. But yeah, so that's something definitely I can say is that you can go over to his website and pre-order it. You fill out a form. You fill out what you want with it too. Again, I put in a lot of stuff that he does have on the form. The DFO is the only thing I didn't put in, but honestly, depending on your TV, you may not even need it. But yeah, it just kind of helps make the frequency a little bit more, the output frequency a little bit more normalized, But yeah, so again, definitely, shout out to him. Shout out again to Bob for getting me the kit early. And overall, this is just fantastic. So again, thank you for joining me, and we'll catch you guys in the next stream.